I'm here with Jodie today to talk about how violence against women is an economic issue, as well as a human rights and a health issue. Jodie and I have been activists and artists since the 1970s.
So there are constant crimes against humanity in war and occupation, like Israel against Palestine. But we're going to talk about rape and how art, culture, and activism have created social change. Mostly hidden and virtually unexplored until recently, sexual violence in the Holocaust and World War II took many forms. Tens of thousands were raped in camps, hiding, and in ghettos. It included rape, sex for survival, and forced prostitution, and was used to subjugate, humiliate, and ethnic cleanse. Most women, out of shame, did not tell their stories. But reports of sexual violence were denied at the Nuremberg trials with the excuse its charter didn't include sexualized violence. But the possibility of prosecuting rape as a war crime was present in other inhumane acts already part of international law. Black women's resistance to rape helped fuel the civil rights movement. Few knew and still know that Rosa Parks was intensely involved in anti-rape issues in her community, or the role it played in the bus boycotts. Sexual violence went unspoken and unpunished during Jim Crow. He offered me a drink of whiskey, writes Rosa Parks in her journal about an attempted rape. Bangladesh, early 70s, hundreds of thousands of Bengali women, young girls to 75-year-old grandmothers, were abducted and held by force in barracks where they were raped 2 to 80 times, night after night, month after month. But for the first time in history, rape of women in war received serious international attention, and there are still no prosecutions.
In 1971, New York women marched against the rapes in Bangladesh, and this signal event coincided with consciousness raising around the country and, in fact, in other parts of the world. 1 in every 3 women had experienced violence. When Susan Griffin wrote her seminal article in 1969 in Ramparts, Rape, the All-American Crime, it was also a challenge to leftist activists who had ignored that as a political issue. She said, "I was never free of the fear of rape." There was an active community of feminist activists and artists in Los Angeles, and out of that came art from the late mid-70s on that dealt with the issue of violence against women on a personal basis as well as political. In this 1972 piece by Jodie, Chicago, Aviva Ramani, Sandra Orgel, and myself, it was the first time that women's testimonies, direct testimonies, entered into performance artwork. In 1977, because rape was still such a quiet, silent issue for most people, we did a project called 3 Weeks in May, where we had a platform for 3 weeks with organizing, activism, and performances by artists like this one with Leslie Labowitz. Throughout Los Angeles, 30 events took place. For the next 4 years, women from the Women's Building worked in various cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles and Las Vegas to raise awareness through art. We were also attempting to create activist performance art. Mass media was a very important part of all of our campaigns because our mandate was to reach the broadest possible audience with a new form of activist performance art. Okay.
Rape is now seen as more than a crime. It is a tool of war to devastate women and tear apart communities around the world, conflict by conflict. "I want to forget everything. I cannot live with these memories. I will go insane," cries a young woman about her experience in the rape camps during the Balkan Wars, where Serbs used sexual violence as a stated form of ethnic cleansing on 60,000 Muslim women, young and old. Finally, these stories are brought to the attention of the world in the halls of justice, in the first international tribunal to prosecute rape as a crime against humanity. Rape was the rule and its absence the exception in Rwanda, where 300 to 500,000 women and girls were raped in the course of the genocide. But it is here that courts found rape and sexualized violence constituted genocide. 4 women are raped every 5 minutes in the Congo, even while the country maintains the highest number of UN peacekeeping forces, with clear evidence that they are part of the problem. Sexualized violence is now perceived to be normal in the DRC. A global movement has grown with the help of women like Eve Ensler and organizations like Equality Now and Oxfam, bringing the stories to wider audiences with power and influence. During the uprising in Egypt, women at protests were reportedly called dogs and whores by the security forces who used sexualized violence to force women to stay home. Sexualized violence occurred in Tahrir Square with the now infamous case of the women being stripped down to her bra and beaten.
So last January, Jodie and I had a chance to spend some time together again, and working with Lacy, Los Angeles Contemporary Exhibitions, we recreated, and hundreds of other people actually, we recreated 3 weeks in May, this time looking at what the changes were since 1977. One of the things we found was that much had been the same and much was different. What was different is now the the map that we placed in the city center was now prominently displayed on the front of the police department. Every day for 3 weeks, we marked where women were raped the day before by rape incident reports. The mayor was involved, police chief, and so on. We partnered with Peace Over Violence and the Rape Treatment Center and Code Pink and other organizations to create a platform of over 50 events, including performances, speak outs, and so on. This is a performance. One of the things that was extremely different this time was that men were very deeply involved in the project. One of the key focuses for us was colleges and high schools, because the rape rate has increased so significantly in terms of acquaintance rape. We worked, however, with special constituencies like women from prison, homeless shelters, and so on. There were recreations of performances, like this one by Audrey Chan and Alana Mann. And there was, of course, a lot of work with major media. This time, however, we were also interested in social media and pairing the forms of organizing. So in this conversation, which was a performance Jodie participated in at the top of City Hall, we looked at the narratives that were created in different professions around rape and how they did or did not support social change. Around this old school conversation was a group of social bloggers, and that's the way the performance reached a broader audience. So the Twitter campaign was extremely important, and Jodie and For Your Art and other organizations participated with us in asking this question, I know someone, do you, as a way to deal with the one thing that we found that had not changed since 1977 was women's shame.
As civilians have become the main targets of war, women's bodies remain its hidden casualties. At the Women's Media Center, we launched Women Under Siege. This project works from the idea that if we would have known what happened in the Holocaust, maybe we could have done something more about these wars and mass rape. We're one of the first places that published the stories that 1 in 3 women is raped in the US military, or the rapes being used in the Northern Korean gulags. I will speak and let all the people know what these men are doing, she says, and I might not be the first one nor the last who will be treated this way. This is a still unidentified woman who posted her video on February 11th, 2012, one of the earliest reports on our live, first ever crowdsourced map of sexualized violence in Syria. Following in Suzanne's footsteps, the mapping reveals now that the shocking point that 92% of those rapes are from government officials. After Congressman Aiken declared pregnancy doesn't cause legitimate rape, Eve Ensler connected us globally with her response from the rape fields of the Congo, which was retweeted 100,000 times. I am in the Congo, but I could be writing this from anywhere in the United States, South America, Britain, Egypt, India, Philippines, most college campuses in America. I could be writing this from a city, a town, a village where over 500 million women on the planet are raped in their lifetime. You made a very specific, ignorant statement, clearly indicating you have no awareness of what it means to be raped. The UN announced 1 in 3 women living will experience rape or violence in their lifetime. That is 1 billion women. So join with us, Code Pink, Eve Ensler, and 5,000 other organizations. Use your art, use your passions, draw, paint, dance, join with us and rise. February 14th, 2013. Thank you.